Hello, this is Dr. Rosie Kuhn, and this is Friday's Feasts on Friday. No, Friday's Feast on Facebook. And my intention in doing these Friday's Feast is to kind of do a conglomeration of thoughts based on a specific theme that showed up this week for me and for my clients usually, and kind of talk about it not only in terms of coaching or clients, but also in terms of what that looks like as a writer or as a small business person or as a person in a couple. Not that I'm in a couple relationship, but how these things look the way that we see they look, that we want them to look and how they look. Anyway, the theme this week, I thought last Friday, what started to show up was the concept of oppression and how our consensus reality really keeps us oppressed, or it just does. We live in a orientation where we have expectations on us, and those expectations, it doesn't matter where they came from, but in lots of times it'll oppress our own sense of who we are, what we want, and our purest intention in this lifetime. And so a lot of times we have an idea, and it's like, well, I should do this or I should do that. It's not what I want to do, but it's what I should do. So those kinds of thinkings lots of times oppress our own sense of self, who we are. So anyway, then what showed up is the idea that I have a dream life. I have a life that is really exactly the way I want it. I could say that at this moment, in a sense that I've got the freedom, fun, and flexibility to make choices the way I want to make choices. That to me is those three things, freedom, fun, and flexibility, are the most important things in how I be in my life. That allows me to make choices, or to not be under the thumb or the finger or the pressure of somebody else's presence in my life. And so this week, some things showed up that kind of had me struggle with that sense of oppression, even self-oppression or suppression of myself. And so it was kind of an interesting theme that showed up. And a couple of clients said to me, they were both like frustrated and exhausted. And both of them said, I have my dream life. I have exactly what I want. And yet, if that's true, how come I'm angry, pissed off, overwhelmed, exhausted, and and I hate my dog? And it's a confusion, because so many of us, especially those of us who have chosen to be self-employed, we want the freedom and the flexibility to have things the way we want them. But sometimes we take on too much, and we take on things that, even though I love to do them, it's just another thing that's too much for me to do. And so I get tired, and I get frustrated, and I get grumpy. So it's kind of an interesting indication of when we might be happy, we might enjoy our lives or our aspects of our life, but when does it become a burden or something that's not fun anymore? So I just want to say hello to those of you who've just shown up. Jenny Schlee, hello. Mahmoud, Scott Stansberry, Ezekiel. Hey, thanks for being here, you guys. I really appreciate it. It looks like Patrice is here too, my sister Patrice, and Michael, the Daniels are watching. Hi, Michael Daniels. So when we have our situations where it's perfect, we want it this way, but then we feel exhausted, we feel that there's something wrong with us, as opposed to something's just the way it is. One of the elements of life that's really difficult for most of us to consider is that life is a process, and as opposed to, we see it as a conditions. The results are the conditions or the consequences of this or that. So I'm either right or I'm wrong, and if things aren't feeling the way I want them to feel, then I must be doing something wrong, or somebody else is probably doing something wrong. When in fact, it's just an opportunity to start to look at what's going on that has it be the way it is in this moment. Another client of mine, she's she was like so upset today because, it's one of those days with her clients, and I have those days too. It's like, I don't like the work. I don't want to do this anymore. It's too much, or I don't want to deal with other people's problems. Or, we feel like that with as parents too, don't we? Or we feel like this with our students and lots of different opportunities, or employees or employers. I don't want to deal with it anymore. And yet when we say, well, what is it that you want, and how do you want to make that choice? How do you decide? Why do you do what you do? Then it's a real question, because it's like, well, I do it because I love it. It's like, okay, great. And what's this other stuff? What is that? Where's it coming from? And what's it about? So this week for myself, I was looking at, geez, I really like my life. And I've learned a lot because I like simplicity. If I don't have a partner and I live on my own, I have to pare down life so that it fits me, so I'm more in a peaceful state. So peace, as well as freedom, fun, and flexibility, is an important component of how I choose to be in my life. But there's lots of things that show up, and I make a choice, and then it's like, I'm not sure that's what I really want to do. So for instance, last night was the annual Chamber of Commerce meeting for Orcas Island, and it's a beautiful event. And I want to go, make that really clear. I want to go. And there's a bigger part of me that doesn't want to go. I'm pretty reclusive. So it's like going into this mass of people. It just makes me feel uncomfortable. At the same time, there are things that I want to do that would be a fun thing. Like they have a great set of door prizes. That's really fun. And they have great food. And so it's like, well, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I choosing to go? And then I looked at it and I went, well, I'm choosing to go for the food and I'm choosing to go for the door prizes. But what about the rest of me? And the rest of me didn't want to go. And so literally I got there. I had a door prize to offer for other people, dropped it off and said goodbye. I'm on my way out. And I didn't stay because I was looking at, how do I choose what I choose? And it doesn't make it happy. Does it make me happy to make the choices that I make? And I find this is challenging for people because, as I mentioned, a couple of my clients were like, I wanted to be self-employed. I want to be home with my kids. I want to be working in this space at my house. At the same time, there's some overwhelm. And so a lot of times for me, or for most people, it's that place like, how do we be with both of these? And is there a choice? Is there an option that may be better than staying home and working at home or taking care of your kids or whatever that is? And to have options, even to say, one of my clients, it's like, well, let's look at the options. Do you want to quit being a therapist? It's like, no, I don't want to, that's not an option. Or do you want to give up that office? No, that's not an option. It's like that quick reaction doesn't give time to actually say, hey, what are the options? What are the things that could be possible that I'm not letting myself even think about or own or have? So lots of times when I can say, I don't like this, or I hate this, it's like just being able to say that, I don't want this, or I don't like this, that empowers me to listen to my own self and say, man, this is hard and it sucks and I don't like it. Or I don't like them, or I don't like this, or whatever it is I'm upset about. But if I look at it and I ask, well, why am I doing this? Then I can get clear why I'm doing this. And am I staying in something because I'm afraid, or am I doing something because I'm afraid? The idea of going to this annual meeting last night is like, I should go, I should network, I should let people know I'm here and available, and it's like, they know I'm here. It's a small community. They know I'm available. That's not necessarily going to make anyone want to be more of a client. So in a sense, if I'm doing something to get something, then most likely in my experience, I'm not going to get a sense of peace or fun and flexibility to some degree. So life is a process, one moment at a time, as we learn and are part of this unfolding of our life. And when we can see it more, I tend to be very introspective. So I ask myself these questions a lot. Woke up the other day going, if my life is so perfect and I like my life, why do I feel something's missing? And not only that, then to say, well, what is it that's missing? What is it that I believe is missing? And the other day it was like, well, I feel unappreciated, or I feel unacknowledged, or I want more applause, but I don't. But there's this part of me that says, well, that part wants more acknowledgement. And so I'm being very transparent with you right now, because it's my way to say, we're all human and we have these desires for something. And if we can know what those desires are, quite often it can help us kind of bring peace to that part of us, just to say, hey, I want the fame and fortune. And another one of my clients said, I don't want the fame and fortune, but I want the money. My life is great, but I want the money, but I don't want the fame and fortune. I don't want anybody to know, I want to be under the radar. So these kinds of things are really part and parcel of being human, that we have our desires, we have our dream life, and at the same time we have things that are consequences of having it the way that we are, that is challenging to us. And for me to be able to write about it, talk about it, listen to my clients and their coaching, so I'm coaching to it, I get to work things out. And that's one of the reasons I do a lot of the writing I do, is it helps me integrate and articulate what these challenges are as a human being. And it helps me because then I get to hear what other people are saying, and I go, yeah, that makes sense to me. That makes sense. And then when I can make sense of it for myself and for my client, they feel more relieved, they feel more normal, and they can be in their life with a little bit more freedom, fun, and flexibility, more peace, and more self-appreciation. And I think a lot of us are missing that piece. I know for myself, if I'm neglecting the part that says, I'm not happy, if I say, well, forget about you, that we're just going to do it this way, then I don't get to include that part and hear what that part has to say, the part that's not happy or the frustrated or, wants it to be different. I've had to shift my diet a lot, and the part of me that didn't want to do that likes the alcohol, that likes the sugars and cakes and cookies and carbohydrates, wheats and things, that part's not so happy with me right now. But she gets that we're healthier because we've had to cut back on all that stuff. So I hope this makes sense, that, first of all, if we allow ourselves to have a dream life, to say, this is the life, I love my life, and at the same time, here are some of the things that, it just goes along with the territory, then we can be more accepting of our life as it is and enjoy it more, I think. So that's pretty much it for today, I think. The things I hope that maybe you'll take away is to think about, what's the reason I'm doing what I'm doing? And is it the right reason for me? And I don't mean right as in obligations or because it's a should, but is it right for me? So again, going to the meeting, taking time during the week to go paint, sit and write what I write, all of those things. Each one of those things is a questioning, is this right for me? Am I doing it for the right reason? Which is, does it make me happy? Does it fulfill my desire for fun, freedom, and flexibility? So I'll just leave it with you for that. I'll leave you with that. Have a great weekend, you guys. See you next week. Bye for now.